Welcome back to another video, Cruising with Coco. And today we're going to talk about 5 cons of the Navy. Now, if you see my previous video, I did 5 pros of the Navy. So I felt like it was only fitting that I did 5 cons because, every job, they have its pros and they have its cons. So let's get into it. Con number 1 is lack of freedom of expression. There's a lot of things that you may want to do in the Navy that you are not allowed to do or that you can't do because it's not following the rules and the regulations of the Navy, right? So, for example, if you're one of the girls that like to get their nails like really, really long and like to get like lime green and all these other colors, it's not going to fly in the Navy. Not saying you can't get your nails done. You can get them done, but they got to be a certain length and they can only be like nude colors. So you get the gist, right? Second thing, right? If you're a guy and you like to have long hair, it's not just gonna get cut. You can't have long hair, you can't have locks. You gotta keep it short and nice and tight. That's really what it is. If you like the people that like to, dye their hair all types of colors, like pink, green, blue, fiery red, no. Now, it's not saying you can't dye your hair, but it has to be a natural hair color that you dye your hair, right? All right. So, con number 2 is poor leadership. I'm not saying that everybody in the Navy has poor leadership. No, that is not what I'm saying at all. But there are some instances that, leadership may not be that well, their communication skills may not be that great, and it could be very difficult or stressful when you're trying to get a point across and they're not trying to hear what you got to say and they only want to hear what they got to say and they just want to hear you say all right and go do it. So that could be very stressful in a point in time. Again, I am not saying that everybody in the Navy has poor leadership. It's just certain people that need to work on their leadership skills. The third thing is the long deployments and the underways. Now, deployments for me is really not that bad, right? It's the opportunity to save money and you get to hit different ports. But the downfall to that is if you want to talk to your people back at home, you may not always get the chance to do that because the only form of communication that you will have is sending an email. And unless they sitting at the phone waiting for that email, it may take a day or two for you to get a response back, especially if you like overseas. And also about that, it's like when you on deployment, it's not like you got the weekend off. No, you literally work 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. All right. So they might give you a break. Like on Sunday, you might get to come in a little bit late, but that's only if your department allows you to, because some departments don't. There have been times that I've been underway and everybody else got holiday routine, and on Sundays they got to sleep in till 13, then come into 14, and I still had to be there at 07, ready to work. So that's just how I go. And also, you're gonna eat the same thing every week. Unless you bring snacks, you're gonna eat the same thing every week. And even if you do bring snacks, it's not like those snacks are gonna last very long. Especially if you like on a 6-month deployment, 5-month deployment. It may last if you on like a 2-week underway. But if you on a deployment and you've been deployed, them snacks not gonna last. Number 4, it could be very, very repetitive sometimes, especially if you on deployment. So when I say it's very repetitive, it really explains itself. For instance, my day I would wake up at 7. No. For instance, my day, I will wake up at like 6. I will have to muster at 7. I will work for the day, and then I'll go home. And the next day, I have to do it all over again. And let's say you import, it could still get kind of repetitive because you're still going to do the same thing every day. The only difference is if it's the weekend, the only way you don't have to be on the ship is if you don't have duty for that day. And that it could get tiring. And last but not least, the fifth thing is living on a ship / living in a barracks room. Now, if you're anything like me, you like to have some alone time. You like to spend time with yourself and your thoughts, just to woosah, you know. But if you're living on a ship, there's always gonna be people on the ship, no matter what. Even on the weekends, remember those duty days I just talked about? Even on the weekends, people are on the ship. So you never really get that time alone to yourself unless you're in your rack. And if you don't know what a rack is basically where you sleep, where you go to sleep. And in the barracks room, it's a little bit better, but not really, because it's like you have roommates. So you're never really going to be alone unless your roommate not there. And if your roommate was anything like my roommate, always in the room. Always. Thanks for watching my video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please leave a comment, share it, and hit that subscribe button.